meeting of the Committee on Accountability, Finance, and Personnel of the Board of School Directors will please come to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Director Herndon.
Present.
Director Jackson.
Present.
Director Reza.
Present.
Director Zomber.
Present.
And Chair O'Halloran.
Here.
We have a quorum.
The Chair will now ask the Secretary to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The Chair invites any members of the audience who wish to participate to do so and asks that those who do not wish to participate please remain silent during the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And for the listening audience, I think we also just wanted to recognize that Director Fonz is also with us in attendance. This meeting is being conducted from the Central Services Building. This meeting is also broadcast via live stream on the MPS website and on the MPS YouTube stream, the links to which may be found on the MPS website on the broadcast page. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we have a short announcement regarding interpretation services for the Spanish-speaking members of our audience.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la Junta Escolar de las Escuelas Públicas de Milwaukee. Si deseas escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor llame al 312-626-6799. Otra vez, 312-626-6799. Introduzca el número de reunión 608-130-5362. Nuevamente, el número de reunión es 608-130-5362. Gracias.
Thank you. For each of our items of business, we will hold a discussion and public hearing. If you wish to speak, please fill out a speaker slip and bring it to our secretary, Dr. Owen Moore. Just for your the listening audience, we have no virtual speakers registered tonight. And now, given that our focus this year is literacy, we have some help with our messages from one of our youngest readers. Jameson is a first grader at Fernwood Montessori School.
Welcome to tonight's committee meeting. The committee will accept public comments on tonight's agenda items. Speakers may only address the item for which they have registered. Questions from the public may not be answered during the public comment period. Following public comment, the committee will begin its discussion and no additional comments will be accepted. When you are called upon to speak, please state your name and spell your last name for the record. Like this, Tamika Jones, Jones. Written testimony will also be accepted for transmittal to the board. Send this testimony to the Office of Board Governance, P.O. Box 2181, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53201-2181, or fax to 414-475-8071, or email it to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Just as a reminder, Robert's Rules of Order dictates that all comments, questions, or requests should be directed to the chair, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. Also, no one other than the members of the board, designated staff, and those who have been invited to participate in items of business will be allowed on stage before, during, or after the meetings of the board and its committees. Finally, for our listening audience, if you wish to access this evening's agenda items and attachments online, you may do so by visiting the meetings, agendas, and minutes page of the MPS website.
Okay, thank you, Jameson. Let's all give Jameson a round of applause. Quite impressive for a first grader. Thank you, Jameson, for being tonight's reader. We so appreciate you. If you have a child that would like to read for the board meeting, send a message to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. On tonight's agenda, we have several items of routine business. Tonight, we will use our typical format for these items. However, at future meetings, we may use a consent agenda for routine items. This will make the meetings flow faster and allow us to focus on items that require more attention and deliberation. For the sake of fairness tonight and to give everyone a chance to speak, the chair reserves the right to limit the length of time allowed to any one speaker. For the safety of all and to ensure the good order of the meeting, harassment and intimidation tactics of any kind will not be tolerated. Anyone who engages in such harassing or intimidating words or actions will be immediately asked to cease. If such behavior continues, a recess will be called and the offending parties will be removed from the meeting. Anyone ejected from the meeting may continue to listen to the meeting or access the agenda items online. However, the individual will not be allowed to rejoin the meeting. Now let's begin. Madam Secretary, item 1, please.
Madam Chair, item 1 is action on monthly personnel matters, action on classified personnel transactions, action on certificated appointments, action on leaves of absence, report on resignations and retirements, and the affirmative action report. The recommendation is that the board approve the promotions, appointments, and leaves as listed in the attachments to the item to be effective upon approval by the board.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casellia, Superintendent. The administration requests your approval of the monthly personnel matters as attached in this month's report. I have with me Carol Eady, who will answer any questions that you have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay, I don't see any raised hands. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Herndon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the administration's recommendation.
Is there any further discussion? See none. Will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Herndon's motion to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon?
Aye.
Director Jackson?
Aye.
Director Reza?
Aye.
Director Zomber?
Aye.
And Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 2 is action on recommended administrative appointments, promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications, salary increases, decreases, and limited term employment contracts exceeding 60 days. The recommendation is that the board approve the appointments, promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications, salary increases, decreases, and limited term employment contracts exceeding 60 days as listed in the attachments to the item to be effective upon approval by the board.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casellia, Superintendent. The administration requests your approval as attached in the revisions and pertains to recommendations for appointments, promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications, as well as salary increases or decreases in LTE employment. Again, I have Carol Eady here, who can help me to respond to any questions you may have.
Thank you. I don't see any public testimony on this item. Do any committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay, seeing none. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Or do we need a second to ponder anything? Director Reza?
I move to approve the administration's recommendation.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion of this item? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Reza's motion to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Before we proceed to the next item, on behalf of the board, I would like to congratulate all of the candidates listed in the previous 2 items. You are now one step closer to appointment, promotion, or transfer. Thank you for bringing your services to Milwaukee Public Schools. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 3 is report with possible action on limited-term employees, January through June 2025. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Thank you. Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casellia, Superintendent. This evening, what you have in front of you is a copy of the semi-annual limited-term employees report for January through June of 2025. I have with me Carol Eady, and together we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Zambor.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. I guess just a overall question about if the administration has any plans to look at our practice of LTEs. There's some life-to-date earnings that we've had people who look like they've been LTEs for a really long time, and just wondering if there's any reconsideration of how we're using LTEs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, is it really limited term employment, or is it long term, and where we should classify it as something else?
Administration.
Chair O'Halloran and Director Zambor, members of the committee, this is one of the items that I brought actually to President Zambor's attention when I first started here, and something that I do want to dig into and get to the bottom of. I am supportive of limited-term employee contracts. I think that they do provide a strategic purpose to move quickly on matters that we need to move on. For instance, the hiring of Mike Terza to be able to help us with the lead situation, or any executive on loans that we might be able to do with our policy around that. I think that there's opportunity to strategically deploy, but I do think that around the administration of use of them should provide a little bit more oversight, and just how we think about the use of them in the future. So definitely we'll give it more thought, and willing to look at that more.
Director Zambor, any follow-up?
No, thank you.
Okay. Seeing no public comments, I do see a hand raised from the Office of Board Governance.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran, Matt Chasen, Office of Accountability and Efficiency. When the LTE policy was originally crafted, this type of reporting was not part of the policy obligation. And so it's actually good to see the administration continues to meet that obligation. But based on the conversation here, I think it also points to the prudent decision that was made to bring this and make it visible. It strikes, I think, the appropriate balance between the interests that Dr. Casellas had mentioned. Not only do you get oftentimes very skilled professionals who've been in the district for a long time, you get them at a discounted rate because we're not paying benefits in addition to their wages. So I think this just helps facilitate a good continued conversation on their use. I just wanted to mention that for the benefit of new board members as well, that this was rooted in policy as a process improvement after a review. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I believe this is an informational item, so we don't need to take action on that. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Then we can move to the next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 4 is action on monthly finance matters, authorization to make purchases, report on change orders in excess of $25,000, report on contracts under $50,000, and cumulative total report on monthly grant awards, acceptance of donations. The recommendation is that the board, 1, authorize the purchases, and 2, accept the donations as listed in the attachments, with appropriate acknowledgement to be made on behalf of the board.
Thank you. Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casalia, Superintendent, the administration is requesting your approval of the monthly finance matters. I'd like to note that the change order for the contract C033022 is for the company named District C. I have with me today Aicha Sava and Janine Adamczyk, who can answer any questions that you might have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do any committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? I'm seeing some shaking heads. Okay. Well, given the lack of comments or questions, what is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Jackson.
Yes. I move to approve administration's recommendation.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? All right. Will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
And thank you from the board for all the generous donations and grants that we received. We appreciate that. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 5 is action on the award of exception to bid contracts. The recommendation is that the board authorize the exception to bid contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Thank you. Would the administration please present this item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casalia, Superintendent. This evening, the administration requests that the contract for City Year Inc. be set aside and deferred for later consideration. We further request that the committee approve the remaining exception to bid contracts at this time. Aicha Sava and Janine Adamczyk are with me here to assist with any questions you may have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Jackson?
Just a clarification, which one was setting aside again?
Director Jackson, that would be the City Year contract that we're setting aside. We still just need to get a few more questions answered prior to bringing that forward.
Any follow-up?
No.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Reza?
I move to approve the administration's recommendation.
Okay.
With
We
the
have to
exception-
note that the
Oh,
City
wait.
Year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go.
with that.
Director Reza, would you like to just?
Yeah, with the exception of setting aside the city,
City year contract.
yeah.
Okay, so the motion that I hear is to approve administration's recommendation, setting aside the city year contract for consideration at a later date, or, yes, thank you. Teamwork makes the dream work. Any other discussion on this item before we move forward? Okay, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Reza's motion to approve the administration's recommendation while setting aside the City Year contract to be considered at a later date. Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye,
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 6 is action on the award of professional services contracts. The recommendation is that the board authorize the professional services contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casalia, Superintendent, this evening, we're asking your approval of the professional services contracts before you. Aicha Sava and Janine Adamczyk are here with me to assist with any questions that you may have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? I first saw Office of Board Governance, but I'm going to start with Director Zombor, if that's okay. Yes.
Thanks, Chair O'Halloran. I was just wondering if administration could talk a little bit more about what the CDW Government LLC and event management software is for.
Administration?
Thank you. I'm going to have Janina Domchek help us with that answer on that specific contract.
Okay.
It's a technology.
And for the listening audience, we're talking about the CDW contract.
Director O'Halloran and Director Zombor, we have with us Chad Meyer. I don't know why I just lost his name, but Chad Meyer, who is here from Instructional Services, who can answer that question.
Director O'Halloran, Chad Meyer, Senior Director, Department of Technology. The CDW contract was actually a FCC cybersecurity pilot that the district was awarded. There was very few districts in the country that were awarded this grant, and it's an opportunity for us to get some software to basically compile all of the kind of data that our cybersecurity team is putting together to be more proactive in our cybersecurity protection of the district.
Okay. I just realized that the CDW contract is actually on the next item, item number 7, if I'm correct. Thank you, Madam Secretary and Office of Board Governance, for confirming. I'm looking at the list and I'm like, I just don't see CW on this one. But, you know, I appreciate Director Zombor being so proactive that she's just trying to get all her questions out of the way now. So perhaps we can delay this conversation until the next item and just discuss item number 6 for the moment. Do any committee members have any questions related to item number 6? I don't see any committee members, but I do see the Office of Accountability and Efficiency. So, Mr. Chasen, please, any questions or comments?
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. Matt Chasen, OAE. There's a unique circumstance that I see here with respect to the CLCs. That one of the vendors that's being recommended for award is Strive 365. And they were awarded through a competitive process, RFP 1153. In the previous item, there's an exception to bid, and there was also an award to the same vendor. It's unusual that we see that within a month, where a vendor would be recommended both as an exception to bid, but also through an RFP. I was just wondering if the administration could give us some of the circumstances that had us arrive there.
Thank you for catching that. Administration?
Mr. Chasen, Director O'Halloran, members of the committee, Janina Domchik, Director of Procurement and Risk Management. This month is unusual in the fact that we do have a contract both under professional services as well as exception to bid. The professional services contract is being awarded based upon an RFP. This vendor responded and was awarded, or hopefully will be awarded accordingly based upon board approval. The exception to bid in the previous item is a request for Washington High School for a continuity of services for social emotional learning to reduce chronic fighting and violence in the school. And they've used this program before with success, so they'd like to continue it.
Thank you. Mr. Chasen, does that answer your question, or do you have any follow-ups?
Nope, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Do any committee members have any questions about any other items on the attachments? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to just ask my question. Can administration talk us through a little bit about the Procom Enterprises contract that's $9 million for surveillance technology? So can you just explain a little bit about how that will be used, the duration of the contract, et cetera?
Director or Chair O'Halloran, Chad Meyer, Senior Director, Department of Technology. The Procom contract is a vendor that will be replacing our previous vendor for installing, repairing, and maintaining security cameras that are used across the district. We probably have about 5,000 cameras in the district right now. Some of them are up on, sides of buildings, things like that. This vendor will repair, install, and maintain those. It's replacing an existing contractor. As far as the $9 million, it's a blanket contract. That money hasn't been allocated from anywhere. It's money that will be used out of school and department's discretion to purchase this equipment.
Okay, thank you.
And Chair O'Halloran, I believe that one might be under number 7 also. Am I looking at it wrong?
No.
It's under 6? Okay.
Promise
My
you.
apologies.
It's okay. We're rolling fast tonight, so. Thank you for that explanation, helping us to understand, especially with some of the larger contracts. I'd just like to bring a little more transparency to them. Any committee members have questions or comments about any of the other items on item 6? Seeing none. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item?
I move to approve the administration recommendation on the award of professional service contracts.
Thank you, Director Jackson. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza, Director Zomber, and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 7 is action on the request to waive Administrative Policy 3.09, Parent 9, Parent E, and issue the contracts for EPS US LLC, EdTech Strategies LLC, and CDW Government LLC. The recommendation is that the board waive Administrative Policy 3.09 and authorize the professional services contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Would the administration please present this item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casellia, Superintendent. The item before you in this evening's agenda is a request to waive Administrative Policy 3.09 to issue the contracts for EPS US LLC, EdTech Strategies LLC, and CDW Government LLC. I have with me Aicha Sava and Janine Adamczyk to answer any questions that you may have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do any committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Maybe we can get into CDW a little. I'm just kidding. All right, seeing none, what is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Zambor?
I move approval of the administration's recommendation to waive Administrative Policy 3.09 and authorize the professional services contracts as set forth in the attachments.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the administration's recommendation and waive Administrative Policy 3.09, Parent 9, Parent E, and to approve the contracts as set forth in the attachments, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 8 is an update on FY25 financial statements and audit plan. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casellia, Superintendent. This evening, I'm joined by Aicha Sava to provide you with an update on the FY25 financial statements and audit plan. Following the update, we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Good evening, Chair O'Halloran and fellow committee members. Aicha Sava, Chief Financial Officer. So just to give you guys a little update on where we are for the 2025 audit, as we brought forward, I think back in March, we do have new external auditors, Clifton, Marson, Allen, and we have been in a planning process with them for the audit for this fall, and they have already been on site multiple times. In fact, they're coming tomorrow as well for a training session. And so the planning is very underway. We have our preliminary request list from them, and we're working on that. We have our timeline set, so they will actually be starting their field work on site right around the time school starts, so they will be hitting it hard in September. And at the same time, we are requesting some surge capacity. In the last 2 years, when Baker Tilly was our external auditors, we actually were engaged with CLA that was giving us some extra help. So we are exploring our options to kind of flip that, you could say. So we are requesting quite a few accountants to come help us with some preparation of work papers and being able to assist some of our accountants. We do have quite a number of vacancies, and we do have a couple of holes, so that is where we are requesting some of that to be filled in. And also on top of that, we will be contracting out parts of our AFP, so they will help us compile and put together our financial statements, so that will help us kind of speed things along. So that will all be kind of happening in September and then moving into October. And then the pension audits, which are led by Carol Eady and her team, those will be in final field work in mid-September, and they usually issue their audits well ahead of the financial audits because we need parts from there to put into our AFP, so those will get issued in the late fall. And then the final AFP preparation will happen in October, and then the partners will review the final parts of the audit so that we can have a time built in there to get to the December 15th issuance. And so that is the plan that we've concocted, and we are trying to get there, and we are moving forward. And at the same time, just as a quick update, we are in the last stages of the FY24 audit. We are going back and forth with Baker Tilly. They're asking us their last questions, looking into a couple things with them. So we will be, revising and giving them a clean copy of the AFP. So we actually have 2 external auditors right now. So those are the updates for FY24 and FY25. And then we are also moving forward with Power School, our vendor for our Business Plus system, to move forward for our, woofer compliance and exploring our possibilities, and working with Power School to move that work forward at the same time. So 3 lanes of work all moving forward. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you for that update. Do committee members have any questions or wish to make comments? Director Zambor?
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. You mentioned that there's a lot of vacancies right now. Are you able to share what's being done to help fill those vacancies, or what the plan is?
Sure. Actually, most of them have been posted. And actually, just this afternoon, I was in a whole round of interviews, which is great. So we are, we are in constant contact with HR. So all of our vacancies are in different parts of the recruitment process. So we are moving forward, and we hope to be, making some hires very soon here. And at the same time, we have a couple new vacancies that we will be posting in the next week as well. So, and that is also why we have that kind of surge support that we're doing at the same time.
Do you have any follow-up, Director Zambor? Any comments or questions over here? Director Jackson?
Yeah, just a comment. First off, just saying thank you. Not even to go back to the past, but I appreciate what we have presently with the leadership, especially over our finance. So thank you, and your team as well, the unsung heroes that sit behind you and beside you. So thank you for pushing us forward, and the transparency to keep us up to date so that we're not hit with this negative light of financial, unclarity, uncertainty. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Jackson. Do any other committee members have questions, wish to make comments? I do. Oh, administration. I see Dr. Caselius' hand.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran and members. I just want to commend Aicha for her incredible work with her team, and the whole team down there, Kim Callis and many other members of the team, and Nick Sinram. The budget team has been digging in and helping out with the finance accounting team as well. The whole team has really been just really digging in, working long hours, and I'd like to also commend Matt Chasen from the Office of Accountability and Efficiency and his leadership on this project. It's been a long haul to get the 3 streams of work going, where we're finishing the FY24 audit, which we anticipate will be done really soon in the next several days, and anticipating the release of the funding from our from DPI in the imminent future here, and also looking at FY25, particularly the support that we've gotten from the project management support that we've gotten from MGT and the Council of Great City Schools, who has come in to work alongside and support Aicha and her team in standard operating protocols, the control environment. That's been very helpful, and that's going to help really present, I think, opportunity for onboarding, ways of working together and documenting our work, which makes it easier for the auditors to come in and know what it is that we're doing. DPI has been an incredible partner to us. I mean, we were just on a call this morning, and they go through the smallest of items with us, you know, so that we know how to code those pieces. And the Council for Great City Schools is really digging in to kind of help us with the chart of accounts so that we can be WOOFR compliant, which is being documented with our team, so that we're not going to be back on this kind of hamster wheel that we've been on before. And then, as Aicha said, we're also working on that FY27 solution with our software program, which is Business Plus and Power School, to be able to look at how do we mitigate some of the other kind of software issues and what do they call it, interoperability between, you know, EdFi, between our system and the state system, so that it's fixed once and for all, which is really the goal here, so that we can ensure that our books are accurate, that they are transparent, that they're easily understood by the public, and that we're able to move forward in a way that we can be really proud of as an organization on our finance matters. And just super proud of the team for digging in. It wasn't always in the timeline that we wanted, but we are almost there to be able to say that we are in a really good place. So we're getting there and working hard and getting better. So I just want to commend the team. Thank you.
Thank you, administration. I do have a question, but before I ask, I just wanted to give committee members if there were any other. Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand. So on the timeline in September, I heard, you know, we may be flipping the script where CLA was providing some, you know, support in the past, and Baker Tilly was the auditor. This year, it may be Baker Tilly providing support, and CLA will be the auditor then. So when you say contracting out for the ACFR, would Baker Tilly be the support services for that then?
Actually, no, it would be Clifton Larson Allen, our external auditor. They can actually just compile the financial statements without impairing their independence. And then there are actually a lot of the sections of the ACFR that we would still be responsible for. And technically, we're still responsible for the financial statements. So they would just be helping us kind of map it and put the actual schedules together, which would save us a bunch of time.
Okay. Thank you. So with this timeline, this is very helpful for us to understand kind of those benchmarks of when work should be done and we should be able to cross things off the list. Just, you know, for the board's, you know, clarity, how are we going to know if things aren't happening when they're supposed to be happening? How do we, you know, if we get to, and this is nothing about Ms. Edie or anything, but, you know, if the pension audit, for instance, we had a wrench in the works for the pension audit, you know, what is the process where that information is brought back to the board and the public so that we have those early indicators that something isn't going the way it should be?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the board, we will be bringing back updates regularly, and at every board meeting, I do a superintendent update. I can commit to providing any of that information to the board regularly so that you have it. I mean, we have a deadline here at the end of the month. We have another deadline in September, and then we're on like the journey to December 15th. And so we'll make sure that we continue to update the board regularly on our progress in my superintendent update, if that's okay.
I would love that. And I think the public would too, you know. I think the earlier that we can, if anything isn't going to happen, you know, on the timeline that we've discussed in the past, I think that the board and the public would just like to know as soon as possible so that we can adjust our expectations accordingly. And then my other question is just about the WUFAR, the WUFAR compliance. So Power Schools Business Plus is going to be, that's kind of the mechanism that using Power School Business Plus is going to be how we're going to get to the environment where the data that we submit is in the format that DPI can receive it. Is that what I'm understanding? Would that be correct?
Chair O'Halloran, members of the board, we are working with our vendor. They are our current vendor, and so we are asking them to make solutions with our team. And so really what we've been working with them on is responsiveness around the items that we need them to change within their product in order so that it can be EDFI compliant with the chart of accounts for the WUFR compliance. And so that's a complex set of tasks that they're managing with our team, and we're hopeful that that's going to be the solution and that they'll be able to make the changes that we need for them to make so that the two systems speak seamlessly.
Yeah. So do you have a general timeline for, like, is that May 2026? Like, I don't know what the runway looks like to get the system speaking the same language.
Chair O'Halloran, members of the board, right now we were actively working on the FY27 budget and the chart of accounts for that so that we can enter the chart of accounts and our FY27 budget into that new system. Now, whether it will be ready for us is another question, but we are attempting now to get it ready for the FY27 budget and putting those items in there because we have not yet created that budget.
Okay. Thank you. Any other, anything that we just talked about spark any other questions? I tried to make this a quick one, sorry. Director Herndon?
You sparked a question for me.
I'm sorry.
My question is this. Ever since we had this big, massive blow-up and everything evolved around the computer system, the technology, et cetera, my question is, right now we're funding contractors to perhaps fix both the software and the hardware, right? So has anyone looked at our system matching DPIs so that they would communicate together and the software wouldn't need so much work done on it?
Yeah, Chair O'Halloran and Director Herndon, that is exactly what we're doing, is looking at the technology systems and making sure that they speak to one another. But another part of that work is making sure that our accounts, like the account numbers that we're using, and that's called the chart of accounts, is also a piece of it, so that when we do push data to the system, which it accepts our data, but it's more so about the chart of accounts with it. So it's like we have to exchange the different account codes. And I'm sure that Aicha can explain it more with validation errors that come back when those account codes don't match. And then that means that you have to get them to match, you have to do a journal entry, and then it's just a lot of extra work that has to get done. Other districts experience those validation errors too as they push data, so it's not just Milwaukee Public Schools. However, we want to make it more seamless because we have a $1.5 billion budget, so you can imagine the amount of items going into a balance sheet, and so both expenditures and revenues, which makes it tremendously complicated and complex for our accountants.
Do you have any follow-up, Director Herndon?
Yes, I wanted to say thanks to explaining that so that the public better understands it. I've written my share of financial software in my life, so I never understood how we ended up in that space.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I would just mention also, Chair O'Halloran and Director Herndon, that we're in these meetings with DPI, and they're helping us find these solutions. So also, I believe that they're looking at their systems as well, and improvements that they can make on their system. I know that Mr. Chasen this morning was talking about an issue with kind of the system getting stuck on their side. And so when their system gets stuck, they have to run things down as well.
Oh, wow.
So, I think that they're learning alongside us. We're the largest school system in the state. So it's a shared responsibility. And I appreciate that the Department of Public Instruction has really been working closely with us to not only improve our system, but I think they're also going to be improving their system.
Thank you. Director Zambor?
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. This is maybe more a request than a question, but I know for this year, our budget, there was a little bit of risk in the number of vacancy adjustments that we put into it. And as we fill more of the vacancies, that is going to, it'll impact the budget. And so the request is just if we could get more monthly reports and forecasting on how we're doing and the status of this year's budget at this meeting.
Chair O'Halloran,
Raise your hand.
Director Zambor, happy to do that. Also will, after we start school, be presenting to you some data on our enrollment and on our vacancies. It's something that I want to, obviously I had the goal of having a teacher in every single classroom this fall. And so still working on that. We have currently 98 vacancies that we're working on for classroom teachers across the system. That is less than last year, which I think we had 169, last year at this time. So feeling as though we are making some progress there. We still have more work to do, and we are working on our Plan B that I discussed at the last board meeting, which was about reassignments to ensure that our folks here who are licensed teachers are going to be supporting us in those classrooms. This is not a change in practice. We have done that in the past where we have covered classrooms, and so we are going to continue to do that so that students have a great start to the school year and there's not confusion in our schools, and we are going to be welcoming them. I believe we're in better shape than we were last year. Not exactly the perfect shape I want to be in just yet, but the HR team is working to fill those. I know they were just at a career fair and they had 17 applicants. So we continue to hold career fairs, continue to get folks in the door, and continue to do everything we can to get them through our hiring system, acknowledging some of the barriers that I have brought before you around policy, and hoping to bring some of those policy changes to you in the future so that we can move our hiring process a little bit faster given our HR audit.
Thank you. Just to clarify, Director Zambor, were you asking for like a budgeted to actuals specific to the vacancy adjustment or just like an overall?
Just the overall status of the budget.
Okay. I just wanted to make
More
sure I understood the
more
request.
Periodic updates on the status.
Oh,
Okay.
Could I add a comment?
Yes.
Okay, I just have a Chief Financial Officer. I did want to just add too that our monthly revenue and expenditure budget to actual report, it's not in the August one, since we have the 2-month lag, so that would have been the June report, and since we're closing the books for the year, we usually bring June and July in the September, so you will see them next month.
Okay, that makes me feel better. Thank you.
you. Any other questions or comments before we move on? All right. Well, thank you so much for this update. I appreciate it, and I think the public does as well. So thank you for that. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 9 is action on monthly facilities matters, FMS award of construction and professional services contracts, equipment purchase, report of emergency material purchase, and report of exception to bid purchase recommendation. The recommendation is that the board approve the attached construction contracts, professional services contract, equipment purchase, emergency material purchase, and exception to bid purchase.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran, members of the committee, Brenda Caselli as superintendent, we're asking your approval of this month's facilities matters before you as they pertain to construction and professional service contracts. I have with me here Mr. Mike Terza to answer any questions that you may have concerning this item.
Thank you. Do any committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Jackson?
Yeah, just because of the most recent dealing with the rain, have we also planned for possibly just more remediation at some of these school sites coming forward?
Administration?
Chair O'Halloran, Director Jackson, we are working alongside our Facilities Department on all of the issues within the floods. We had some significant damage at Riverside High School, also some damage at Obama High School. I think there were about 22 schools that experienced some damage. They are collecting all of the insurance documents that need to be collected so that we can account for all of those matters as we continue to clean up. We are also sending out communications to our families and our teachers and educators, staff at buildings, to make sure that they're aware of the ongoing mitigation and monitoring that we're doing to make sure that we're addressing any issues that might come up due to the flood.
Director Jackson, any follow-up?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Any other Office of Accountability and Efficiency?
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. My sense is the reporting cycle for this month, it's likely that if we had any additional emergency purchases related to flooding and correction there, we'll probably see those next month is going to be my guess. Is that correct?
Administration?
Yes.
Thank you.
Director Zombor?
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. So I'm looking at this continuous cloth towel service. It's the Vestas uniforms. Is that, it's like a $2 million contract. And when I'm looking at it, I can see the price per cloth roll towels per delivered. Do we actually expect to go that high on this contract? Can the administration just explain, is there something else in here other than the cloth towels?
Administration?
Sorry, it just seems kind of high.
It does seem high. It is a
And
large
there's probably a really
contract.
good reason for it.
Director O'Halloran, Directors on board, this is kind of a contract that's based on usage, and we just put out there a number that is kind of historical of usage with enough a buffer in there so we don't have to come back to the board, but it's on a per-use basis.
Director Zombor, do you have follow-up?
I guess looking at this, I'm almost wondering, is this actually saving money to use the continuous cloth? I don't know. So you're not, so they're invoicing us, we're not paying more than this $4.65 for per delivered roll. Okay, that's
The term of the
fine.
contract is from August of 2025 to August of 2028. Maybe
3 years.
if
3 years,
administration, if you have any historical data that could be shared with board ahead of the full board, maybe that would allay some concerns.
And yeah, I can follow up individually
Okay.
too.
That sounds good.
Thank you.
Chair O'Halloran, Director Zombor, I think I've mentioned this at a previous board meeting when we have this section around contracts. This is something that I want to get under as well. As you know, we have $100 million we have to cut next year. And so we want to create every efficiency that we possibly can. And there are some contracts that we have where we've had them for a long time. I don't know about this specific one necessarily in the length that we've had them, or if that is actually the best thing. Should we have dryers? Should we have sheets? Should we have, a different strategy for it? But currently, we want to make sure that kids can, use these within the bathrooms. One of the things that the students came and actually talked about was our bathrooms and making sure that they're clean and tidy. And when you have loose paper towels, obviously, those get everywhere. And so this is one way to mitigate that. But we will take a look at all of our contracts in the future for efficiencies and for use.
Okay. Any other follow-up questions or comments from the committee? I do have a question. I'm just going to put myself at the back of the queue then. For the Milwaukee Recreation Community Center, is this the one that is going, I just am not familiar with that nomenclature, so I just want to make sure I know which site that is going to be. And I think there are people, I see Mr. Litzy. Yes. Joining
Director
us.
O'Halloran, members of the board, that's at the 76th and Silver Spring location.
Okay, So that's the new site that'll be being built, is that, okay. And then as just my follow-up, I assume that would be coming out of the, since we're talking about finding efficiencies and accounting for every penny, that one would come out of the, yes, the, well, no, does that come from the capital fund, or does that come from the recreation budget then?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think it's the extension budget within recreation.
just to clarify.
Dr. O'Halloran, members of
Yes.
the board, it comes from the extension budget.
Okay, so this is, and we had budgeted for this ahead of time, so we have, so we're in good shape for this. Okay. Thank you for answering those questions. I appreciate the work that's being done to create this beautiful new facility for the neighborhood. Do any other committee members have questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, what is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Jackson?
Yes, I move to approve administration's recommendation.
Thank you. Will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon? Aye. Director Jackson?
Aye.
Director Reza?
Aye.
Director Zomber?
Aye.
Chair O'Halloran?
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Next item, please.
Madam Chair, that was the last item on this meeting's agenda.
As a reminder, a meeting of the Committee on Legislation, Rules, and Policies will begin shortly. There being no further business before this committee, this meeting is adjourned.